I believe that everybody has a story, and I'm fascinated to hear them. So come with me as we take a walk down Fascination Street.
Do you guys ever feel a prolonged lack of energy? Sometimes I do, and that means I'm not getting enough B12. What is B12? Well, B12 doesn't give you energy, but what it does is help your body convert food into energy by helping your body to produce more red blood cells. A lot of companies offer a B12 supplement in either beverage or pill form, but a lot of the B12 actually gets lost by the inefficiencies of the digestive system. Well, those days are over. Forget everything that you think you know about inhalation and imagine a world where inhaled products are designed for health and wellness. Imagine inhaled products engineered to be free of toxins and instead provide a functional benefit with every breath. Well, that world is now. Introducing electronic vitamin B12 from Inhale Health, a major breakthrough in vitamin B12 delivery. Inhalation allows vitamin B12 to be absorbed instantaneously when breathed in. Vitamin B12 inhalers provide a non-invasive, portable, and highly effective way to maintain peak vitamin levels. Each vape pen comes preloaded with 400 breaths, which is roughly a 1-month supply, and is already charged. You don't need to refill it, you don't need to recharge it. When you're done, simply throw it in the recycle bin and order another one. I love this product so much that I actually reached out to the company and asked them to sponsor my show. And they agreed. So here's what they're going to do. Every one of my listeners who goes to inhalehealth.com and orders any of their 7 different vape pen products is going to get a 10% discount plus free shipping when you put in the promo code FSP as in Fascination Street Podcast. So there it is, guys. That's inhalehealth.com, 10% off any of their 7 products, free shipping. Promo code FSP. So give it a shot. You'll be glad you did. And hey, guys, you're welcome. Welcome back, guys. This episode is with New York comedian Dan Pulzello. We have a little bit of fun in this episode. We talk about how his family name got changed a little bit at Ellis Island. We talk about the best pizza ever. We talk about who would play Lacrosse and why, as well as how Dan got into comedy and why he does so much charity work. Just a heads up, guys, Dan is hosting a benefit at the Comic Strip Live in New York City on Thursday, October 18th, 2018 from 6 to 9 p.m. to benefit Snack, which Dan talks about in this episode. So make sure you guys get tickets to Comedy Night, a night of a reasonable amount of stars, round 2. You can get tickets at snacknyc.com, and the night's comedy will include Dan Pulzello, Chris DiStefano, Caitlin Polefo, Jay Jordan, and Ruperto Vanderpool. Enjoy, guys. This is Dan Pulzello.
Yeah, talk to me, yeah.
I want to welcome you to the show. Thank you for joining me on Fascination Street. Dan Pulzello, how you doing this morning, man?
I'm good. It's happy to be here. You caught me on an off day, so I got nothing going on. This is the highlight of my day right now.
Well, that is kick-ass. It is also the highlight of my day. Thank you for taking the time, sir. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
Am I saying your name right? Is it Pulzello?
Yes, you got it completely right the first time. Tough name, but you got it.
Well, I was a little curious because I was born and raised in San Antonio, and there's a lot of Hispanic culture here. And so with Hispanic last names, the 2 L's at the end are pronounced like a Y, so it would be Puzello. And so that means you're Italian.
Yes, that is. I've got a couple jokes about, just like the last name and people messing it up and stuff. So even if you'd messed it up, I'd have had a comeback for it. So it's all good.
Now you're making me regret not messing it up.
No, people will mispronounce it every which way. I've had people ask if it was like Brazilian. It's an Italian last name, and my great-great-grandparents came through Ellis Island, so it's one of those that got changed. So I don't know what the original version was, but now it's Puzello is what is on all of the legal documentation, which is pretty cool, but also kind of frustrating.
Dude, that's super crazy. How do you know the whole, like, you know that it got changed, but you didn't get to catch the end of that story? Go find out, dude. What was it before?
It was, I've done like some research into it. It's a common occurrence for people with my last name. So I did a report on one of my schools. It was like, hey, go on ellisisland.com. They have a directory of all of the names that have come through, and they put them all in a database. So I looked up mine, and, it was 2 Pulzellos came through in like the early 1900s. And then I tried to do a Google search of Pulzellos in Italy, because it said they came from Naples or something. And like, there's no record of any Pulzellos in Italy prior to that time. So you can concur that it was something before that, and now it's just Puzello. So we're a rare breed of American, Italian, fucked up last name people.
So here's where I get stereotypical. This is what I think happened. I think whoever it was in your ancestry was running from the mafia dons in Italy. And so when they got here and they were like, what's your name? And they were like, well, we can't fucking give them our real name because then the Don Magic asshole will find us. So let's just say Puzello. That's what happened.
That is my new favorite theory on it. I have a joke that the people who worked at Ellis Island were the ancestors of the modern day Starbucks barista. And so they just heard something and they were like, all right, that's not fitting on the cup. We're changing it to Puzello.
I like it. I'm pretty sure that went on a lot.
I don't know how often it happened, whether it was just like one a day or 20%. It would be cool it is fascinating because, it just changes the whole trajectory of a life. But yeah, it's something I've always been interested in. And now talking about it again, I might have to, re-up on it, see if I can find out any more facts about it.
That is super interesting. Like you said, it sort of changes the trajectory of a life. And it kind of fits with the whole reason that everybody was coming through Ellis Island in the first place, was to start a whole new life. And boy, did they get one when they even got their name changed. Yeah,
they probably weren't expecting that, but it was, I think it was like two Pulzellos came over and then a couple more joined them. Yeah, there's so few of us that it's actually like pretty easy to track what we've been up to in the past like 100 years.
Oh, that's rocking. It's really difficult for me because there's like 12 or 13 Steve Owenses in San Antonio, and I don't know any of them. So I guess there's just a plethora of me around.
Yeah, but that's good because you could murder somebody and probably get away with it.
Huh, probably. All right, Dan. So how old are you, Dan?
I am 25.
All right, cool. I have kids your age. That is fantastic. Now, were you born and raised in New Jersey or New York?
New Jersey. So I was born in New Jersey. Still live here, and I do all of my comedy business in Manhattan.
Where in New Jersey?
Glen Rock. It's like Bergen County, New Jersey.
So tell me,
northern New Jersey, like an hour outside the city.
Okay, so in relation to, let's say, Rahway, where is it?
Ooh, north, I think. I'm like 15 minutes from the New York state line, so pretty far north in New Jersey. Probably like an hour north of there, if I had to guess.
All right, cool. That's the only town in New Jersey I've been to. And I've been to Red Bank, of course.
Oh, okay, yeah. I have family around Red Bank, Jersey Shore. Yeah, I'm like an hour and a half north of there.
Well, if you ever do get the chance to go through Rahway, right across from the train station, that's right, America and beyond, they have trains in the east. We don't have those down here in San Antonio. But at the Rahway train station, like if you were to get off at the Rahway train station and walk across the street, there's a restaurant called Nancy's Townhouse, and it is hands down the absolute best pizza I've ever had in my life. It is phenomenal.
Hell yeah.
It is
what I like to hear.
Dope. And just get the regular cheese pie. That's it. Don't adulterate it with any weird shit. Just get a cheese pie, and it is fucking stupid delicious. So my wife and I have actually been back to Rahway, I think 3 or 4 times now, and the subsequent times after the first one were specifically so we could get that pizza. Like, we had business
Oh my God.
we had business in the city or whatever in New York, but we were like, well, let's just fucking stay in Rahway so we can have that badass pizza, and we'll just take the train into the city. And so that's what we've done every single time. Every time we've actually stayed in Rahway, taken the train, just so we could have that awesome pizza. It's fucking amazing.
That makes me so happy that New Jersey pizza is getting that. It's because like everybody's like, oh, you got to go to New York for the best pizza. It's like New Jersey has amazing pizza. Like there are 3 pizza places in my town that I love. Like like people sleep on New Jersey pizza, and it's good to know that it's getting the national recognition that it finally deserves.
It's really kind of weird. Thank you. It's international recognition. I think it's really weird that I think it's really weird because the only 2 things that we know about Jersey, like that everybody knows about Jersey, is 1, it's all Italians, and 2, everything's legal in New Jersey. So it would stand to reason that a state that has, I don't know, 103% Italian population would make some good pizza. And I'm telling you, man, you guys knock it out of the park. Good job.
Yeah, that sounds. Nancy's and Rahway.
Nancy's Townhouse. Yeah, it's dope.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's really, really cool. So you're born and raised in New Jersey. When did you decide to get into comedy?
So I've been doing comedy for, I think, like 2.5 years now. Coming up on 3 years. So yeah, probably we'll just say 3 years. So like 3 years ago, I graduated college and went through was in like a shitty job, and one of my friends was like, hey, there's an open mic. I was working in Manhattan, and he was like, hey, there's an open mic around the corner. And so like I went in there, brought a bunch of like family and friends with me, did the open mic, had fun, and then went back and did another one and did horribly, so like had like a really good first experience in the comedy. Second experience was horrible, and I just like couldn't stand being bad at it. Like it was something that I was like, oh yeah, no, I'm funny. Like I know I'm funny. And then once it's sort of, especially in Manhattan, there's so much comedy around that I was like, yeah, I'm not quitting this. I'm not stopping this until I get fucking better at it. And then, you just, in Manhattan, you can get to so much comedy and you can see so much comedy. Right away that you're horrible. It's cool to see like the progression and getting a little bit better and getting a better spot here and then getting best at this club. And so, I don't know if that answers the question, but I decided to do it because my friend told me there was an open mic, and then I did it. And then, that was 3 years ago. So I've been doing it ever since.
So you're like that hot supermodel who's like, I didn't even want to be a model, but my friend dragged me to the audition. You're that guy.
Yeah, that's exactly. I was like, you're funny. Go to a basement and make people laugh. And I was like, that sounds like kidnapping. And it's been like that ever since.
Nice. Growing up, were you super into comedy?
Yeah, I think I was an athlete my whole life. I played lacrosse and football, and I played lacrosse in college. I was recruited by a school, played lacrosse in college, played lacrosse in Australia for a season.
Professionally?
So I think, it was like a club team. They flew me out. They didn't pay me, but they paid for my room and board. So we'll call it semi-pro. I don't know. But yeah, so that all came to like a very hard stop. And I didn't really have, it was like lacrosse was the biggest thing in my life for forever. And now I wasn't playing it anymore because there's no real professional leagues. I mean, there are, but I wasn't good enough to do that. So once lacrosse came like a hard stop, I needed like a new obsession. And comedy I'd always been interested in comedy, but I had like no performance background up until that point. So then, pretty much starting from the ground floor with comedy was, it just kind of gave me like a new like challenge and obsession and something to like improve at every day, which is something I was definitely like missing post lacrosse career.
So I'm from San Antonio, like I said, and down here in Texas, we do not have lacrosse. And my wife and I briefly lived in Louisville, Kentucky for about 1.5 years, and lacrosse is kind of huge there. So I'm assuming it's an Eastern thing. When did you get into lacrosse, and also why?
Also, hi.
No, why? Why did you get into lacrosse,
Oh,
dude?
Why?
Why not basketball?
I was like, are you introducing yourself? We've been talking for 20 minutes now.
And also, hello.
Hello, how are you doing? So few people remember to ask how someone's doing in the middle of a conversation. It's just yeah, lacrosse is gigantic here. Like it's at every high school. I went to a private school for lacrosse, and if I hadn't gone to the private school, there was my public school also had lacrosse, and it's a giant. We have like county tournaments here, and leagues, and states, and there's a summer lacrosse I did for a while. There's winter lacrosse. Like it's just a lot of fun, and it is you're correct in saying it's a very regional sport. There's like a bunch of hotbeds where people play lacrosse. Like Baltimore, Maryland is a giant hotbed, Long Island, big hotbed, and then New Jersey's kind of like a middle tier hotbed. But yeah, it was just all around me. It wasn't like a decision. It's just like, I hated baseball, so I was like, what else is in the spring? And it was lacrosse. So I probably started playing that when I was like 7th grade.
Gotcha. Now, you said that did you get a scholarship to college for lacrosse?
Yes, I played D3, so there was no athletic scholarship, but they kind of work around that by giving you like academic money and like more, like the athletic program has like an amount of academic money that they can give out. So like I didn't get athletic money, which is illegal in D3, but I got academic money, and like the coach recruited me and guaranteed me a spot. So I was recruited, but I didn't get athletic money once I was there.
Gotcha. Now, we haven't mentioned the name of the university that you went to. Please, please, please say it was Duke.
No. That is, I went to a smaller, Washington College in Maryland. It's a very, like 1,500 people. It was a tiny school, but they've got a real good lacrosse history. They've been around for like 100-something years, so it was cool to, be a part of like a very old traditional lacrosse school.
Wow, cool. So like the very first Puzellos went there.
Yeah, we were. It was around then.
Very cool. So I believe you do some charity work every now and then. Is that right? It feels like looking at your online presence, it feels like that's kind of a big part of what you do. Like maybe it's important to you. Can you talk a little bit about that?
I work my day job. I work like 20 hours a week at an autism nonprofit in the city. So I handle like all their like day-to-day stuff. And what's cool about that is, 20 hours it gives me a lot of flexibility to get to as much comedy as humanly possible. One day I'd like to tip the scale into being full-time comedy, but for right now, it's a pretty healthy balance. But in terms of working there, and then my mom is also very into nonprofits. It is definitely an important thing for me. I've produced a bunch of comedy fundraiser shows, which has been very rewarding, and I like doing those because it's, combining the two things I want to do the most is, comedy and raising money for causes that are, that don't get enough attention. Like autism is such a new phenomenon. There's so many struggles that come with like raising somebody with autism, and anytime you can give those parents and the people who work with them like a chance to laugh and a night out, it's something that I really get a kick out of. And so I've got a show coming up at the end of August, which benefits the Tom Coughlin J Fund for Pediatric Cancer. It's the second show that I'm producing for them, which will be very fun. And then in October, I will be the Comic Strip Live. I'm producing a show for the Center for Autism that I work at. It's the Snack Special Needs Activity Center for kids. So yeah, those are my two charity shows I got coming up.
Well, this episode won't be out for the August show, but tell us more about the October show.
We're still finalizing the lineup in the next couple of weeks, but it's I was approached by the owner of the Comic Strip in Manhattan, which is pretty much my home club. It's where I do a majority of my comedy. they expressed interest in having the show. I expressed interest in producing the show. So we're going to get a bunch of, I wish I had the fucking lineup finalized before this so I could mention who, but we've got some big names that we're talking to, and hopefully we can schedule it, but it'll be in October 18th at the Comic Strip Live. All proceeds going to, a center for autism. It teaches kids with autism how to swim. It teaches them job training, art therapy. They really do everything for kids and young adults with autism.
So it's like a life skills training program for autistic children and adults?
Yes. They do job training. They have like an e-commerce business where they sell coffee. And it teaches them the skills associated with working in a business setting, and the meal prep, yoga, exercise. I know I'm going to forget something, but they do. It's kind of like they really do. If you can think of something that a normal camp or after-school program would have, they have it for kids with autism. So it's pretty great.
Well, that's really cool. Why did you get into what you said you work 20 hours a week for a nonprofit organization? Why did you pick that one?
I have a connection with it. It's a place that I volunteered at all through high school a couple times, and then a couple times in college. And it was founded by my mom's best friend from college. So the CEO is Jackie. She is my mom's age, had a kid who is also my age, but he had epilepsy and autism, and so his case was so severe that Jackie ended up having to she would get turned down from every program that she went to try and get her son help, and so she decided to make her own program in Manhattan, which is not easy, and it's 15, 20 years later still not easy to do. So it's a story that I have a lot invested in. I love Jackie, and have known her for a while. So when I was looking for something that was a little bit more flexible to help with my comedy, and also wasn't, was something that mattered, it was a pretty easy choice for me to ask if they had any openings, and then they hooked it up. So I'm very thankful to them.
Well, that's really kick-ass. You're doing the Lord's work. Where can people get tickets to that show at the Comic Strip?
Hop on my Twitter. We're going to be promoting it soon. And then, in 2 months, it'll definitely be online. So you can go to comicstriplive.com. We'll have the website. They'll be on the website definitely by the time this is released. So comicstriplive.com. October 18th is the date. And let me think what else. Yeah, definitely just if you hop on my Twitter, Dan Pulzello, or Facebook, I'll be promoting it a bunch on there too. So any of those 3 avenues.
Very cool. Did I read somewhere that you still live at home with your parents?
Oh yeah, no, that is not a rumor. I still very much live at home still.
Is that an Italian thing?
It's a comedian thing. I do not. It's definitely. I have a brother who moved out. It was just me, sort of 3 years ago, saying Mom, Dad, I want to give this comedy thing a shot, and they're like, all right, cool, you can stay here for as long as you want. So that was, however long ago. They haven't really put a timeline on when they want me to move out or anything like that. It's been, I love my parents. They're awesome. They're very supportive of every comedy thing that I do. So it's not ideal, but it allows me to get to as much comedy as humanly possible, which is nice.
Very cool. How many times do you think you perform a week?
10 to 15 for the calendar year of 2018. I have a sheet that I keep track of every show or set or mic that I've done. So it's 10 to 15 is my average right now.
Per week?
Yeah. I'll do 2 a night, 1 a night, 3 a night, 0 a night. It just averages out. I think my most is 4. I don't know if I've ever gotten past 4 in a day.
I don't know how you could, because comedy is only going on for a certain amount of time. You gotta get your ass across the fucking city to the next show.
Yeah, I think 5 is probably the physical limit. I don't know anybody that can get. But then you always hear how much do you get up a week is a question that every comedian is always obsessed with, and you hear people I'm happy with 10 to 15, and I think it's more than a lot of people do. But then you'll just like hear rumors like, I hear that kid over there does it 30 times a week. And you're like, how the, like, what? Like, you start to do the math and it just like, you know, it drives you. I do 10 to 15 and I feel like, you know, very burnt out from it. But then you get these guys who are doing like 20, 30, and you're just like, Jesus, like that is another level of comedy.
That's crazy. I watch Crashing. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's I perform at Greenwich Village Comedy Club is right down the. I actually have barked in the same area where they shoot Crashing. So I've met Pete Holmes. Like I've seen them filming the show and had to try and like fucking bark people in. Pretty accurate depiction, but it's just very frustrating that like season 2 he's already getting college work and you're like, what? Like, no, you skipped 8 years. Like this is not. And I know they have to, you know, they have to cut years of his life because no one would want to watch that. But I'm watching it. It's like, yep, everybody's gonna think that you get to colleges in your second year now. Like that's not how it works.
Yeah, I love Pete Holmes, but if they tried to make that show 7 years of a 7-foot-tall Muppet barking, there's no fucking way I'd watch it.
He is a Muppet. He's gigantic, but he's also goony looking. He's definitely a Muppet is a great word for him. I love him too. I listen to his podcast all the time. His stand-up is unbelievable, and the show is great too.
Yes, he is fantastic. What is your ultimate goal with comedy? I know eventually, hoping to God, one of your goals is to move out of mom and dad's house. Beyond
hell yeah.
beyond that, what's your ultimate goal? When will you think you will have arrived?
Yeah, I don't know. I just I'm in the stage where I'm just trying to get better and, you know, look back from month to month and say, oh, I've improved, or, you know, I'm getting work at that club when I didn't used to. And I just want to make a living doing it. I think the ultimate goal, you know, however much money that is required. And whether it's stand-up or it's writing online or writing for a show, I want to make a living making and producing comedy in some capacity. I think that's the ultimate goal.
I think that's a very realistic ultimate goal. I mean, you could have said, you know, I want to have my own show like Everybody Loves Raymond or, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
But that's not what you said. You said that in some capacity you want to be working, making a living in comedy. I think that's a really grounded outlook.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's people who like say like there's one person, one comedian who I respect a lot who's a little ahead of me in the game, and she'll always say like, I just want to get famous, like I just want to get, and I'm just like, fame doesn't solve any, you know, it just amplifies whatever you have. So if you have a good life, like fame will, you know, it'll make it great. If you have a horrible life, it'll make it like worse. It's just an amplifier. It shouldn't be like, that's my view on it. Like, I think if you're trying to get famous, that is not my goal, is what I'll say. You know, fame would be cool, but you know, it doesn't like, I think just respect amongst my peers, like people just saying like, yeah, you're good. I think that would be enough in terms of fame.
I think you might have messed up. You were telling that story and you said there was somebody who does comedy who's a little bit ahead of you, but then you said she. So I'm sure that you...
That is a great joke. Yeah, no, she is. I am not afraid to say it. There are girls out there. There's so many girls out there who are so much funnier than me. Oh my God. Yes. I meet a new one every day in Manhattan. They're beasts out there.
Well, so I took my kids last night. Like I said, they're your age, 25 and 26. We went last night to it was a comedy showdown. And so it was supposed to be 10 comics, but it ended up being 9. And we were looking down the list of the names. You know, we had never really heard of any of these folks because we've never really been to a comedy show. Mm-hmm. And we were looking down the list, and it was boy name, boy name, boy name, boy name, questionable name, boy name, mm-hmm. and then girl name. And the girl name was Courtney. The questionable mm-hmm. name was Angel. You know, that could go either way, especially here in South Texas. Mm-hmm. And so my daughter was like, oh, what the fuck? It's all dudes? Oh, except for Courtney and maybe Angel. Well, Angel didn't show up, so we don't know whether that was a girl or a boy. We still don't know. And Courtney mm-hmm. was a dude.
Oh, God. That's brutal.
And so Well, that part was funny that, you know, and it was the last one. So we are like, girl. Oh, it was a dude. And it wasn't just a dude. This was like a really big African-American dude. Like there was no question at all. This was dude.
Yep. That is not a female.
It is definitely not a female. And so it was a little bit disappointing that there wasn't a single girl comedian. And I don't know if that's just because there are less of them, which I would imagine there are. But I don't know. It was just a little bit disheartening. And especially for my daughter. She was like, ugh, Jesus.
Yeah. I don't have the answers for it, but I'd say in New York, definitely it's probably about 80% to 20% guy to girl. But I think the dude fatigue that your daughter had is a very common occurrence in Manhattan and, you know, other comedy places. It's like 50% of your audience is going to be like a girl or a woman or like a female, like, you know, to keep them engaged, it makes sense to have a lineup that is 50-50, because otherwise you're just, you know, then maybe if your daughter had like a negative experience, then maybe she doesn't go back. Like it just makes sense to have, you know, like a 50-50 lineup. But, you know, there are definitely less female comedians. I think it's getting a lot better. Like the diversity in Manhattan especially is just like there's every race, creed, sexuality, like they're all doing stand-up now. I think it's a definitely a cool time to be doing stand-up. But yeah, no, I agree, and I don't know what the answer is. There needs to be more women in comedy for sure.
Well, we can agree to disagree on. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, they can tell as many jokes as they want in the kitchen. Yeah, no, we joke. More if there's any woman out there that gets doing comedy, please do it. We need so many more of you.
Yes, absolutely. Who would you consider to be like your Mount Rushmore of comedians who are your influences?
I think it changes. I think Mulaney is John Mulaney's number one. I'd have to put Sebastian Maniscalco two. I don't need to order it. Those two are definitely in there. Louis it's tough because I put Louis in there, but he's also a pervert. I want to reconcile. I saw him at Madison Square Garden, and he was, I think that he's on another level from anybody. So it's not a pop. He's a fucked up human, great art. I want to separate. His art is very good. I think he's definitely up there for me. Let me think. Who else?
Now, you said Louis is on a different plane from everybody else, another level. I feel like there is somebody else on his level.
Someone else on his level?
Yeah. You know, maybe somebody who was equally funny or really, really funny, and then also maybe does a little bit of a bad stuff. Maybe Louis can start wearing weird sweaters and selling Jell-O.
Yeah, that's a possibility.
So who else? You got one more. Give me one more.
One more, Jesus.
And while you're thinking about it, everybody who may or may not know John Mulaney, one of his claims to his fames,
oh God, yeah.
One of his claim to fame is that many people might not know is that he writes the Stefan sketches.
Oh hell yeah!
On Saturday Night Live,
great.
And those are fucking dynamite. Also, I think he's on Broadway with Nick Kroll, right? Oh, hello.
Yeah. Oh, hello is like one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life. It's amazing. The last comic I'll put is this guy. His name is Andrew Scholl. He is a lesser known. I mean, he's known as he's very well known in the comedy community, but he is a up and coming, rising New York comedian who I've never seen him have a bad set. His material online is amazing. He's got a very popular podcast. Andrew Scholl is unbelievable comedian.
All right, everybody, keep your eye out for Andrew Scholl.
Yeah, he's going to be. I mean, he's already very big, but like national. Yeah, he'll get his recognition soon.
Sweet. What would you say that most of your comedy is about? Do you have a specific, maybe subject matter or like a particular type? How would you describe your comedy?
I think it's changing. It's not really, I hate to say observational, but it's, God, yeah, I don't know. I would love for critics to watch me and say I'm this type of comedian, because I don't know what type of comedian I am. I have a lot of material right now on like my family, my dad, being Italian, and then a bit that I'm working on right now that I'm really proud of is how much I hate college graduations. It's occupying a pretty big chunk of my act right now. Is college graduations are horrible. Yeah, so I don't know. I think it's things that frustrate me, bewilder me. You know, not many like stories or anything like that. It's usually like, hey, isn't this a thing we can all agree on? And then expounding beneath that, trying to get as deep as possible into one topic.
Oh, very cool. I gotta know, dude. You're living with your parents. You're 25. You're in Manhattan. How uncomfortable is it to bring a young lady back to your parents' house for the evening?
Yeah, it is horrible. Very bad. I do it very infrequently. I'll usually, usually try and go somewhere else. But it's not that bad. You know, I can just say like, hey, mom, dad, don't come downstairs is usually the best I can do. It's not fun, is what I'll say. And I'm definitely, part of living at home is sacrificing, romantic attachments for, the pursuit of my long-term goal of comedy. I still go on dates and stuff. It's not all bad, but, I gotta move out of here eventually.
So you said you generally try to go somewhere else. Do you mean like a laundromat or a train station?
Yes, usually homeless shelters a lot, igloos in the winter.
Sexy.
Yeah, no, it's just no. Usually I try and date girls who are in Manhattan, who live there or work there. So it's most of my romance comes from the island of Manhattan.
Now, is there are you part of a community? Because let's just use Pete Holmes as an example. So when he was coming up, there was all these other comedians that were kind of on his level that came up with him, and now everybody's famous. Is there a group like that with you?
Yeah, I've got like very good friends that I do comedy with, and we all think we're gonna be somebody. You kind of, it's such a solitary pursuit that you have to sort of link up and become friends with the people who you're doing it with, because it's so insane that if you don't talk to other people about what you're doing, I think you could go crazy. So I have 4 or 5 very close friends I do comedy with, and then obviously like a much larger community of hundreds of people that I've met and see on a regular basis. So it's similar to that, and that you kind of get your crew and you all work towards this insane goal that everybody has.
So do y'all perform together? I mean, obviously not on stage together, but at the same shows often? Do y'all plan it out?
Yeah, so like for fundraiser shows, what I'll do is I'll book a big nationally touring comedian, and then I'll try and get as many of my friends who are on a lower level with me, I'm also on that lower level, as possible. So any chance that any of us get when we're not performing, when we're producing shows, like putting on a show, we'll try and stack the lineup with as many of our friends as possible. So I just did a show in Boston. That was my friend was doing a fundraiser comedy night. So me and 6 of my buddies went to Boston for the weekend, which was cool. I've had a bunch of my friends on my fundraiser shows. So it's just kind of we're not ever performing on the same stage, but we try and hook each other up as much as possible, because I don't know how else you progress in this industry without doing stuff like that.
Sure, that sounds great. How long is your set? What are you up to, minutes wise?
I'd say I have 20 minutes of material is probably how much I'm comfortable performing right now. Usually my sets are 10 minutes, 8 minutes, around there in the city. Very difficult to get longer than a 15-minute set. But 20 is probably my upper limit. I could probably stretch it a little further than that, but any comedy fan who was watching would be like, this guy is stalling. He doesn't have enough material. So I would say 20-ish, probably, how much I could be on stage for at any given time.
Well, that's fucking dope. Is there an hour in your future?
Yeah, if anybody wants to put me on stage for an hour, that would be. No, I think I don't know. My view on it is, I just got to get to a good 20. I just got to get to a consistent 15, 20, and I'm constantly, I think I have, probably an hour of material, but as I progress, I start to fall out of love with jokes. I fall in love with other jokes. I see other people doing something that's similar. I try and make it more original. I realize that this joke, I'm better than this joke. So it's like a 15, 20 minute chunk of material that I have that is constantly rotating through just because, I'm still trying to figure it out. I don't want to lock in a joke that I don't, enjoy performing anymore.
That makes sense. As we're winding up, let's talk about what might somebody find at PuzelloComedy.com.
I would say they can go there, and that's kind of like my professional marketing page. That's what I send to festivals and representations, stuff like that. So I'd say the gem is go to my Twitter. My Twitter is a lot more fun. Putting a lot of work into that. I've released one video on that. I'm going to start to release more videos. Yeah, I'd say definitely check out my Twitter. I put the most work into that. And, it's a horrible platform used by horrible people, but while I'm there, I can try and make a little bit of fun out of it,
Very cool. And so, since we're on the subject of social media, why don't you tell everybody where they can find you on all of the various social media platforms?
I am very lucky to have a very unique name, as we've talked about. So it's just Dan Pulzello on everything: Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, PuzelloComedy.com. I've had videos on there before. I think I might start posting more. It's just the fine balance. I have tapes that I like, that I want to put up, but then once you put it on the YouTube, you lose control of it, and I don't know if I want to put it into the ether like that. So Dan Pulzello on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all those places.
And as always, guys, those social media tags will be in the show notes, as well as his website address. So just scroll down for all those links. Before I let you go, Dan, is there anything that we didn't talk about that you wanted to talk about?
I'm happy that the nonprofit stuff came up naturally. That was really all I wanted to get to. Everybody go out there and volunteer, you shitheads. Go do something good.
You know what? You said that sort of jokingly, but as a volunteer, you really get a lot out of it. One of my greatest joys was I helped build a Habitat for Humanity house when I worked for Starbucks, and that was very gratifying. So you get something out of it too, guys. You should definitely go volunteer.
Yeah, it's you definitely get more out of it than what you put in, and it's just nice to not feel horrible for a day. If you do, if you have 365 days a year and you do one nice thing on one of those days, it can make all the difference in the world to your mental state.
Plus, if you feel like it, you can be that smugly preening asshole when somebody goes, "What did you do today?"
Yeah, that's the nice thing. Again, arguments with my friends. It's like, well, why don't you? And it's like, I work with autistic kids. They need me. They don't need me. But, it's nice to feel like a martyr sometimes.
There you go. Nicely done. Also, guys, down in the show notes will be the link to
the Comic Strip Live.
Thank you. The Comic Strip Live will be in that link will be in the show notes as well. Dan Pulzello, thank you so much for joining me today on Fascination Street, dude. I really appreciate you taking the time, man.
Thank you for having me, man. It was a lot of fun. Let's do it again.
Absolutely. You have a great rest of your day, and it was great talking to you, man.
All right, cool. You too. See you, man.
Hi, everybody. This is Steve Owens from Fascination Street Podcast. I really appreciate your listening to the show. I'm having a lot of fun getting to talk to some really fascinating people, and I want to continue doing this, but I need your help. I need you to subscribe and tell people about the show. But the biggest thing you can do to help me is to rate and review the show on iTunes or wherever you listen through. As a special thank you, anyone who rates and or reviews the show, send me a screenshot as proof and I will mail you a set of 3 pair of silk cufflinks courtesy of my friends at Menlo House. You can send it via Twitter to @FascinationSTPD, via Instagram to Fascination Street Pod, or email me at fascinationstreetpod@gmail.com. I really appreciate all of you for listening and for helping. Thank you so much.
Opening music is the song Magnolia from the 2014 album Intransigence, used with permission from Douglas Miles Clark. Closing music is Apollo from the 2001 album Into the Known by the band Sapphire. Thanks for hanging out with us and getting to know a little bit about our guest. We'll see you next time on Fascination Street.